I personally did 4 trips on that first day. We had about 20-25 minutes on the ground, and you could get a cup of something or other, and then as soon as your aircraft was unloaded, and you just took off and flew back again. We started at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I finished about 22 hours later. It was a requirement.
50 years ago, James Manning was an RAF pilot, and Frank Stillwell his navigator. Together, as young men in their 20s, they flew more than 200 missions during the Berlin Airlift. They were among the hundreds of British and American aircrew who ensured the freedom of West Berlin. The Soviet leader Stalin wanted to starve the city into submission, but instead the British pilots, who just years before had been bombing the city, became its lifeline, flying in meat, tinned foods, flour and coal, with a plane landing every 90 seconds.
The big thing that was spoken about, that we were going out, we will be flying, we will be working very hard, but it would last for some 2 or 3 weeks.
That's right.
In a rather more comfortable setting, James and Frank are returning to the now united Berlin. One of their strongest memories is of the children they rescued from the besieged city.
The sad thing about the children that we brought out was that they were all undernourished. It was probably their first flight ever. They were rather pathetic by the time they got to the end of the journey.
And the Berliners who lived through the airlift say they'll always be grateful to the British airmen who saved their city.
For me and for my friends, the sound of your Dakotas and the American Skymasters was the melody of freedom.
But that freedom came at a price. In all, 78 airmen and civilians died during the mission, 41 of them British. Today, Berlin paid tribute to that sacrifice. By standing firm against the Soviets, these airmen did far more than save a city. They also rewrote the history of Europe.
I didn't realize at the time that had we not carried out the Berlin Airlift, Stalin would have won, and it would have changed the whole map of Europe.
Caroline Wyatt, BBC News at the Berlin Airlift Memorial.